Hey everybody, welcome back to Late Night Review. In today's video, we will be reviewing testimony of Detective Zoller. Yes, we've heard from him before, but they have him back on the stand. And Mark Hefernan and Valerie Heart. This is going to be a short video because I am going to make a separate video for Dr. Zoller. He was on the stand for several days, so that is going to be a video all on its own. Welcome back. So they put Detective Zoller back on the stand to ask him a few questions. What we find out is that Detective Zoller went to visit one of the Menendez brothers' relatives. I believe it was their aunt. Eric had been staying with this family member during this time, and Detective Zoller had the aunt go and wake Eric up so he could talk to him. He actually knew a little bit of information before he went to talk to Eric, and that was he knew of Eric's friend, Craig Signorelli. Now, if you remember Craig, he was the one that wore a body wire for the police to try to get Eric to hang himself in a confession. Zoller went to go visit Eric and talk to him. He already knew of Craig. Now, I'm not 100% sure if they had already done the wire thing where Craig had visited with Eric at that dinner and tried to get him to confess to killing their parents. But nonetheless, he did know of him, and Eric was actually telling Detective Zoller that he had a psychologist, and that's Dr. Zoller. And Eric also told him that he gave Zoller permission to go ahead and talk to his psychologist. Also, Detective Zoller is also the one who arrested Eric for the murders. Eric was actually overseas in Europe when the arrest warrant came out for him. He actually talked with Eric, and Eric set up a time for when he was going to be back in the States to go ahead and meet him at the airport and place him under arrest. There was no extradition order or anything like that. Eric wasn't running, so it was actually set up by Eric. Hey, I'll be back at this time, so you can go ahead and arrest me at the airport when my flight comes in. So that's what they did. Next on the stand was Mark Hefernan. He was Eric and Lyle's coach, another tennis coach. This coach actually has a PhD in psychology. And at one point during questioning from Miss Abramson, she was trying to establish Eric's state of mind and was questioning Mr. Heffernan, like what was his viewpoint from a psychologist's point of view about Eric's state of mind. However, through that questioning, prosecution continued to object, and the judge 8 times out of 10 sides with prosecution. Some of the times I'm like, yeah, that's gonna be a sustained objection, but some of them are just like, for this particular line of questioning, it was a little ridiculous, but Miss Abramson wasn't able to continue to ask questions about his observation of Eric's state of mind during this time. However, we were able to get a little information out of him, and he was saying that when working with Eric, he never noticed those boys lacking in anything. So it wasn't like they were looking for more money or that they were like materialistic and wanting this money. Next on the stand was Valerie Heart. She was a sales lady at a condominium unit where Eric, Lyle, and Noah, and I guess some others, went to look at some of the units that the condominium unit had and looked at a penthouse, which was actually $900,000. And Lyle decided after a time being there that yes, this was something he was interested in. Now, did he just go out looking for this particular unit? No, his friend Noah, the one that was with him, actually already lived in that unit and lived with his parents in that unit. So they are the ones who recommended Lyle to go check out those penthouses in that condominium unit. Since Lyle decided he wanted to put a down payment to secure the penthouse, he decided to go ahead and do that. So he actually didn't have a checkbook or anything with him to make that security deposit. He asked Eric if he had any checks, to which Eric said, yeah, I do. According to Ms. Hart, both of them were talking and saying that they weren't even sure if the account had enough money to cover the check. That check was to be written for $23,000. So they did write the check and leave the security deposit. Ms. Hart also described them as not being jovial or happy during the entire process, and that Eric stayed quiet the whole time. Lyle actually didn't end up moving in there. His uncle Joseph, which is their father's brother actually went and helped them get out of that. The reason why that was given for why Lyle didn't want to actually go through with that purchase was because he ended up just renting a place somewhere else. So he didn't end up purchasing anything. Next on the stand is going to be Jerome Oziel, and he is Eric and Lyle's psychiatrist. And I say Lyle because he had associations with the family, particularly the parents first, and then Lyle and Eric, and then kind of like more Eric, and then Lyle came in there at the for the last 2 sessions. So I think the main part of his testimony is directly connected to Eric because Dr. Oziel is the one that Eric confessed the murders to. Dr. Oziel, there is all sorts of dirt that shows up on him. It's covered with lies, affairs, multiple affairs, vacations. It's not a doctor you want giving you advice. So as the young kids say, gotta spill some tea on this one. So we will talk about Dr. Oziel next time. So with that, make sure you tune in next time to hear all the dirt about Dr. Oziel. See you next time. Bye.